In this video, we're going to go through ozonated water. So we're going to go through what we need to make ozonated water. Three main reasons why somebody's going to actually use ozonated water. Number one, to be able to drink it, get it into your system. Number two, to actually swish it on your mouth. So let's say that you have an infection within your mouth, a tooth issue, a gum issue. It's actually very, very good for that because of the antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. I mean, it's got antimicrobial effects, which are phenomenal for the oral cavity. The other thing then that you can use it for is for the skin. So if you have an open wound and you want to put that on there, I would even recommend something for like a sunburn. It'll actually help with expediting the healing process. I drink ozone water because when I need a pick-me-up and I need a little bit of a boost, it's a natural way to actually help to increase my own mitochondrial function. I sometimes actually deal with some gut issues as well. And so drinking ozone water actually helps to settle my stomach. And it helps to expedite the healing process and really create a balance within my body. So I love drinking ozone water for those reasons. I want to make a disclaimer first and foremost that this is not an FDA-approved therapy. You always want to speak with your physician first before starting any new therapies. And these treatments and these modalities and therapies are not here to treat, cure, or prevent any sort of disease. The information that we're providing today is for educational purposes only. What we have here is actually a hydro flask. So with that, we also have then what is called the stem. This is what actually is going to go into that, where the ozone will actually be coming out of the generator into the flask to be bubbling that water. A couple components of this actual stem is going to be the hydrophobic filter. The purpose of this, which we'll get into in a moment, is to make sure that water doesn't actually backflow into the generator, creating issues. One of the most important parts of this, and this is a new component that we haven't discussed yet, is actually the destruct. There is a carbon filter in here because we don't want to be breathing in ozone. The reason for that is because our lungs do not have the antioxidant buffering system like other systems within our body. So this is going to create a closed loop system so that ozone, anything that's coming out from the bubbler is going to go into this. And once it goes through the destruct, it's actually just going to be expelling oxygen. Now that we've actually gone through the components to create ozonated water through the bubbler, what we want to do is we actually want to set this up. So one of the key things that we have actually had and have seen quite a bit is that people are actually taking the stem, setting it on a hard surface, and they're actually breaking the stem. We definitely do not want to do that. So our recommendation is actually to be setting it on something soft. We have a towel here, but just something so you're not sitting on that hard surface, because even if it's there, you accidentally bump it or drop it, it's going to break. So we're going to put the stem directly into the flask. And in here, this will hold approximately about 16 ounces of water. When we're looking at bubbling ozone, typically you're going to bubble for 12 minutes per 8 ounces of water. And what we have our setting at on the regulator is a 7, which is 33 gamma. That's where you want to stay. That's where you want to be. So there's two components specifically on this stem. And so if you look straight on, you're going to see that there's a stem that comes directly off the center line. And you can see here's that hydrophobic filter, again, just in case there's backflow, because there is a little bit of suction that actually will happen when you turn this off. We do not want the water to come back and get into the generator. If it does get in there, you can actually replace this hydrophobic filter with another one. And there's typically one in the system that comes with this. So you can see we inserted this to the output, oxygen in, ozone will go out. And then you want to take from the glass filter piece that comes out on the side, and you want to put that directly onto the destruct. Now, the other thing that you want to notice is on the ends of each of these, and this is going to help you know which goes where, there are two different end pieces on these tubes. So this end can only go on to the ozone out, and this can only go onto the destruct so that you won't get them crossed. So again, we want to put that on into the destruct, again, because we do not want to breathe those ozone gases. Now we're actually going to turn on the oxygen and the ozone generator, start bubbling the water. Everything is set up and ready to go. Again, we're going to be setting this at the regulator setting of 7, which is 33 gamma. We have about 16 ounces of water in there. So again, 12 minutes per 8 ounces. So we could go 24 minutes for that. Again, you want to look at, sometimes when we do this, The concentration of the ozone in that water is pretty strong when you go to drink it. If you're gonna transfer it, which I recommend, transfer it to a glass that is either stainless steel or glass, because there is that ozone within there. You can let it set so it actually has less of a strong effect when you actually drink it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the regulator right now, and I'm gonna turn it to that 7 setting, which we are at right now. And you can actually see that it is just pure oxygen at this point because we have not actually turned on the generator. But when I turn that generator on, now the generator is flowing. So we have oxygen in, ozone is coming out and going directly into the bubbler. You cannot smell any of the ozone because the excess ozone that's coming out of the water into the top of the flask is coming out on this side and into the carbon filter destruct, which is just releasing oxygen into the air. All right, so time has passed. We're at 24 minutes. We've been letting this bubble. So we're gonna turn this off. So this is how we actually stop this process. What I'm gonna do first is I'm actually going to turn off the ozone generator. So generator is off, but you can see it's still bubbling. Now this is just oxygen coming from the tank. What I wanna do next is actually turn off the regulator. You'll see that the bubbles stop. The next essential thing that you wanna do is remove the actual ozone output tubing. This is gonna prevent those accidents of that water coming back in and getting into the generator and creating damage there. So no, always remove this at the end of this. The next thing is, when you remove this, a lot of times you're actually gonna smell that ozone gas. What we don't want you to do is remove this and be close and then inhale all that ozone. So a couple things you can do. You can remove this, make sure that you have a fan on or you're in a well-ventilated area. Just keep your head back, remove that, put it onto, again, a towel or something soft, not directly on there. You can actually blow it away. You can blow, give it a second. I can actually smell a little bit of that gas, but if you just kind of let it air out, you can take this again. You could let it set for about 15 minutes. You could let it set for 10 so that it's not as strong. I typically like to drink it right away. It can create a little bit of irritation to the throat if it's a little bit more concentrated right off the bat. But then take this and pour it into a glass, which is an actual glass or a stainless steel cup, and then you can drink it from there. One of the things that I want you to understand is the half-life of ozone. So when you're bubbling the water, the half-life is basically whatever concentration you have this at, let's say 33. That every hour, that number is actually going to cut in half. So if you let this set for an hour, then the actual concentration of that ozone has actually cut down by 25%. So again, if you're going to drink it immediately, you're going to have a stronger sense of that ozone and actually, again, can create some irritation in your throat. If you don't want that irritation, just let it set for a little bit and then go ahead and have that drink, say 30 minutes down the road. Again, everybody's different. You choose your preference. You're going to be okay either way.